What's up YouTube, Gemini Johnny back again with day 7 of the 25 days of creepy. I'm taking you through the weirdest, creepiest, and most disturbing footage I can find every single day for the month of December. Counting down to the 25th where we're going to have the ultimate insert your holiday here marathon. It's going to just be a long episode, but you guys know this. If you missed the rest of the series, be sure to check out the playlist in the description below where you can watch them all in a row, in order, and then you can catch up and watch live. Sweet. Without further ado, let's jump right in.
Did you know that A Nightmare on Elm Street was based on a true story? In the 1980s, refugees were coming to America for better life. One of these refugees was young Lang Thao. He moved to Portland, Oregon with his wife and his 8 children. One night, he was watching TV with his uncle when finally he went to bed, and that's when it got pretty weird. His wife woke up to the sound of him having some serious problems breathing, and it seemed like he was in a lot of distress. She quickly tried to wake up her husband, but very soon realized that he was never going to wake up again. However, his death led to a federal investigation that to this day has never been solved. Her husband, who had only been 47 at the time and extremely healthy, had died in his sleep. They later did an autopsy and the cause of death could not be determined. But Young wasn't the only one. Within the span of 1 year, 4 Laotian refugees all died mysteriously in their sleep. As authorities tried to investigate what was happening, they found some really disturbing things. Authorities quickly discovered that in Minnesota, more refugees had quickly, mysteriously, and without any cause, died in their sleep. All of them were young men, all of them were relatively healthy, and this brought the total up to 13. And when authorities investigated further, they found even more. Authorities couldn't figure out what was killing these young men, but it seemed that every single one of them died while having a nightmare. And one of these was even a young boy. This young boy had been having nightmares for quite a while and even told his parents about it. This young boy told his parents of a nightmare where this man was chasing him and trying to get him. He was so terrified he would try to stay awake for days at a time. Extremely worried about him, his parents tried to urge him to go to sleep and that the nightmares were just that, nightmares. And one night, the boy finally fell asleep, much to his parents' relief. However, that same night, his parents heard screaming coming from his room in the middle of the night and quickly rushed to his aid. But by the time they got there, it was already too late. This happened to so many men that federal employees got involved and they led a thorough investigation. But even though these cases kept on happening, they had no answers. And to this day, none of those deaths have ever been solved. And those are the stories that gave Wes Craven the idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street and the spooky thing that would chase them in their dreams, Freddy Krueger. As if A Nightmare on Elm Street wasn't spooky enough.
Mario conspiracy theory. Did you know the scariest character in the entire Mario universe isn't even a boss? It's a basic shy guy. Well, he's not so scary with his mask on. But anyone that has seen him without the mask has freaked out. You look at Luigi in Mario Power Tennis. He took one look at Shy Guy without his mask, and he went berserk. And this is a guy who saw real-life ghosts in Luigi's mansion. In the movie, when Shy Guy's mask fell off during the rock and roll scene, the Goombas and Koopas were horrified. One even faints. And these are bad guys, known for aligning themselves with the scary people. And Shy...
So what's he look like? Alright. Damn, yeah. I can find it real quick. Alright, it's a whole thing. I won't spoil it. Go look into it yourself if you want to see. Sorry to be a tease.
Can you do Sam's new pet from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? Yes, this one is a classic. The story goes like there was a boy named Sam who was staying with his grandparents while his parents went on vacation to Mexico. They promised him that while they were there in Mexico, they would bring him back something really cool. They were searching for something to bring back home to Sam, but all they could find was a sombrero that was really expensive. They were eating some sandwiches in the park, talking amongst themselves when they decided to go back and get the sombrero for Sam. Sam's dad tossed the scraps of the sandwiches to some stray dogs and they started walking back to the marketplace to go look for the sombrero. But one of the stray dogs followed them, or what they thought was a dog. They end up noticing the dog and seeing how cute and small it was. They decided to take it back home for Sam. They put the tiny little dog in a crate and snuck it across the border. When they got home, they presented Sam with the dog and said, "It's your new pet." Sam said, "This doesn't look like a dog, it's really small and it's hairless." His parents said, "Yeah, it's one of those Mexican hairless dogs." That night, Sam took his new pet into his room with him and it slept in the bed, on the pillow right next to his head. The next morning he woke up, but the dog didn't look so good. It had a runny nose and some white foam around its mouth. Sam's mom took the dog to the vet and the vet said, "Where did you get this from?" She said, "Oh, in Mexico. It's one of those Mexican hairless dogs." The vet said, "This is not a dog. It's a sewer rat, and it has rabies."
Her son was in the living room when she sees this. A mother named Marlene was home alone with her father one day, taking care of her son, when suddenly, as she goes to use the restroom, she begins to feel like someone's watching her. But as she notices what was with her, in a panic, she immediately calls her father over, and this happens.
I was on the toilet when I felt like something was watching me. I've been on edge ever since I took a picture and my dad was behind me by the door. So I decided to turn the camera on and record. This is not my dad. I don't know what it is.
Who are you? Hello?
What looks like the dark figure of a kid can be seen inside the shower. Marlene explains that none of her kids look anything alike what was seen inside the shower that day. So if it wasn't her
What is that? What is it? من شر ما خلق ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. Okay, so what they're saying here is that they found a jinn in a cave. A jinn, also known as a djinn, a genie. These are invisible creatures in early religion, in pre-Islamic and Arabia, and later in Islamic cultures and beliefs. There are 3 types of jinns. There's one type of jinn that can fly through the air, another one that are like snakes and dogs, and the third that moves from place to place like humans. The situation here with these guys, I'm not even sure if it's real, guys, but I've watched the full video and I'm telling you, I was so terrified. The men went down in a cave, and after they went down in the cave, they did some weird voodoo magic shit where he picked up some dust and blew it in a guy's face because they said that guy was taking the form. He was a jinn and he was just taking the form of a human to deceive them. It was so crazy.
Major content warning for this case. In April 2006, Jamie Rose Bolin was reported missing from the apartment complex where she lived with her father in McLean County, Oklahoma. But the gruesome answer lurked just downstairs. While the FBI was searching the complex, tenant of apartment 115 Kevin Underwood confessed to killing 10-year-old Jamie. He told the FBI, "She's in there, I chopped her up." Jamie was found in the closet in a storage tub wrapped in plastic along with meat skewers and a meat tenderizer. Kevin Underwood had beaten and strangled Jamie with plans to cannibalize her corpse. But he had underestimated how messy and difficult dismemberment was, so he gave up. Despite having no criminal history, Kevin Underwood was a loner with a growing obsession with harming women. Inside his apartment, they found a Barbie with nails through its eyes and a hard drive full of extreme gore and violence. He had a blog about cannibalism, and he just had a really dark internet history of looking at like headless women, women being cooked, and he wasn't just looking at these images, he was getting turned on by them. Kevin worked odd hours, and he was the only other tenant home when Jamie would get home from school, so he was quite known to her. But during these visits, Jamie sadly had no idea what her neighbor was planning. She'd come over to his apartment a few times because he had a pet rat that she would ask to play with. But during one of these visits, she was sitting on the couch petting the rat when he grabbed a cutting board and hit her over the head. This detail is so sad, but he said that when he first hit her, she said sorry, like she had done something wrong. He originally wanted to keep her severed head on his desk as a decoration, but he just said that the whole act was just exhausting. His police interrogation is extremely detailed, but I'm going to end it there. He pled guilty and was given the death penalty, and he is currently on Oklahoma's death row awaiting execution. It's scheduled for December of this year. And I think of Jamie's grandmother's victim impact statement anytime I hear about a child's life being taken. There will be too much money left over at Christmas and too few presents under the tree. Easter will have one less basket to make. Thanksgiving, too much turkey left over and not eaten. In August, one birthday cake and party will be unneeded.
Today is December 7th. What does this mean? Like, I have a literal tear. What are the chances that I would watch that video today? I swear to you, I would never. I did not set that up. I do not like I've said many times before. I'm watching these videos for the very first time. I skip a lot. I cut out a lot that I've already seen. I got full body chills when it said, I hope that came up in the, I hope that didn't get cut off in the top. It said his date is December 7th, 2023. This got dark. And I was thinking I'm probably going to cut that out because that was a pretty heavy video. And I usually cut stuff like that gets like that dark out. But I think I have to leave that in now. Man, what a trip. Holy crap. And that's why I don't do stuff that gets me on death row. It's less funny this time.
I poisoned my victims, made them into soaps and cookies and distributed them in the neighborhood. My name is Leonine Cianciulli, better known as the soap maker of Correggio. In 1939, my son told me that he was going to join the Italian army, and that made me so worried. So I decided that to keep him safe, I would need to do some human sacrifices. I invited my first victim over for some wine, which I had spiked. Then I killed her with an axe. I would then cut her up into May pieces and add it to a pot with caustic soda, which I used to make my soaps. Then I would heat and mix them together until they made a soap-like consistency. After that, I repeated my exact same process with 2 more unsuspecting victims. I would then hand out and sell my soaps to the local people. They loved them. However, my luck ran out, and after an investigation, I was quickly arrested and sentenced to 33 years in prison. I died in prison from a hemorrhage at age 79. To this day, the axes and vats I used in my murders are on display at the Criminology Museum of Rome.
The Titanic is in fact still in perfect condition. Yes, you heard that right. The owner of the Titanic, J.P. Morgan, deliberately sank a ship because he knew he would make a lot of money. He did it for the insurance money. But why sink the newly built Titanic when you can strip off the paint, change the names, and sink another boat? The truth would be that J.P. Morgan actually had 2 ships. He had the Titanic and the Olympic. The Olympic was a little older and a little more dilapidated, and it also had a few accidents. So the theory goes that J.P. Morgan sank a ship on purpose, but it turned out to be the Olympic, not the Titanic. And that's not all. Guess who was on that ship? All J.P. Morgan's competitors, and none of them survived. Oh my God, but guess who wasn't on the boat? J.P. Morgan, who canceled his place minutes before the start because he knew he was going to sink.
If you've seen my Out of Place Artifacts video, you know I have opinions about J.P. Morgan. But if you haven't, I'll link it at the end of this video, so go watch it after this. He's always popping up in history doing some bullshit. I'm just saying, we'd have flying cars and free energy if it wasn't for J.P. Morgan.
I'm taking screenshots of it, okay? Go closer. You can.
Sad spirit shows up on our haunted hotel live stream.
Oh, now its head's gone down now Darren's going. Ooh, has it crossed its arm over its... It looks like it's reaching for Darren's hand. Go back. Don't be scared. Where do they sleep? I don't know. Karagai, phone out, and I'm on Darren's for the neck. Right, I'm going over. Let me know when I... Ooh, let me know when I'm mapped. You don't know this. Well, I didn't, but yeah. I've got my body warm around Darren's.
Yes, no. Very misty though. Okay. Very blurry.
I don't want to use my engine though. Respect.
No, you as in yourself. No.
I'm blurry.
Yeah. How's it feel over there? Does it feel cold?
It feels colder over here than over there.
Why is it sad though? What's...
What was that? Is it the PVP?
Oh, something okay. It's really blurry.
So which hand? This arm's cold. The
Watching,
one I'm reaching out is cold.
yeah, watching out knows a relative. Need to move.
In 2001, 39-year-old Robert Fisher lived in Scottsdale, Arizona with his wife Mary and their 2 children, Brittany and Bobby. During this time, Robert was a respiratory tech, but before that, he was a firefighter and also served in the Navy. If you didn't really know Robert like that, you would think that he was your typical husband and father, but people closest to him knew exactly how Robert was. Robert was known as being very odd, controlling, and aggressive. On April 9, 2001, a neighbor reported hearing Robert and Mary arguing around 10 p.m. On April 10, 2001, neighbors heard a loud boom from outside. Before you know it, the Fisher's residence was up in flames. The firefighters immediately came and extinguished the fire. When the investigators walked through the remains of the house, they made an awful discovery. They found Mary, Brittany, and Bobby. Mary was shot in the back of her head, and the children's throats were slit.
Jeez.
Then that's when the investigators found out what caused the fire.
It's a dark episode.
Someone pulled the gas line, poured a flammable liquid all over the place, lit a candle, then fled the scene. That's when the investigators were puzzled about something. Where is Robert Fisher? Turns out that Robert and Mary's relationship was not the best.
You don't say.
Apparently, Robert cheated on Mary, and Mary wanted a divorce. Plus, Robert was already strange and controlling as it is. Around 10:45 p.m. on April 9th, you can see Robert withdrawing money from an ATM machine. That night, he withdrew $280. And not only that, but you can see that he took Mary's Toyota's 4Runner. So the investigators most likely believe that before he went to the ATM to withdraw money, Mary, Brittany, and Bobby were already deceased. 10 days later, 100 miles away from Scottsdale in a national forest was Mary's Toyota. Inside the car was the family's dog, who was dead, but there was no sign of Robert around the area. In 2002, Robert Fisher was on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list. For years, no one had seen or heard from Robert. It wasn't until 2021 that Robert Fisher was taken off the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list. Although Robert is off this list, of course he's still considered a fugitive. So the question that everyone wants to know is, where the hell is Robert Fisher? Is he still alive? Did he move out the country? Did he commit suicide? As always, there are more questions than answers.
Dang, another case of a dude being a psycho. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, vaguely remember that. I remember the fire and like him disappearing and nobody knowing what happened to him. But man, this is a dark episode. Oh, a lot of these are real messed up.
In this next video, popular Chinese live streamer Xiaolong travels to an abandoned and allegedly haunted middle school in Foshun, China. It is said that the 4th floor of the school is haunted by the ghost of a girl named Bai Shuiting, who took her own life in the school restroom. Locals say that the girl loves singing and playing the pedal organ. They also say that late at night you can often hear the unexplained sound of singing or organ music coming from the empty school building. This is not Xiaolong's first time investigating the school. In fact, on a previous exploration, he caught something terrifying near the 4th floor restroom. Creepy Video was so popular with his fans that they demanded that he return for another investigation. Little did Xiaolong know that this visit would turn out to be even more horrific than his last. As he is exploring the upper floors of the school, he starts to hear strange noises, as if there is movement all around him. He becomes increasingly tense. And then he hears something that chills him to the core. An organ plays from somewhere on the upper floors of the school. He makes a run down the stairs into the exit, and something seems happy to see him leave. Eventually, Xiaolong gathers his courage and heads back inside and up the stairs for another look around. He goes all the way up to the 4th floor, which is said to be the most haunted area of the abandoned school. In an empty room, he finds the mysterious organ that he heard earlier. He sets up a second camera to record the organ as he explores. What he captures is shocking. Now, keep in mind that in Chinese culture, cursing and acting angry is believed to ward off evil spirits. So Xiaolong decides to threaten the ghost. It did not go well. Xiaolong has only been outside the room for less than a minute, but somehow the organ room is now filled with the mysterious fog and what seems to be the dark figure of a girl. Xiaolong runs for his life. Tables and chairs are now blocking the stairs, and he has to jump over the railing to make his way out as they crash down all around him. Did Xiaolong catch a ghost in his live stream? Or was this just a very, very elaborate hoax? You decide.
Seems like a pretty elaborate hoax, but... yeah,
one of the things that my team and I started doing when I became friends with these guys, you know, this is a family of indigenous people from the community of Infierno, and they took me in, and as we got close, they started saying, you can come with us on our, like, annual hunting trip. And I went, okay. And it's 4 guys in a boat, and you don't want to get your clothes wet, so we're all in, like, our boxers in a canoe with a motor, going out past the places that have names, and you're out in the middle of the jungle. When your motor breaks, you are so quickly reminded of the inerrant truths, like the things that nobody can argue with. And we live in such a human world where everything is debatable. Religion and politics and perspectives on everything. And then you get down to this point where it's like, if we don't figure something out, the river is going to rise and take the boat. That's the truth. And ain't nobody gonna, like, argue with that. And it's like, to me, there's a beauty in that truth, because then all of us are united there in that truth against, like, the natural facts around us. That's a state where I feel very, very at home.
And that's a great point. When everything gets stripped down to the bare bones of it, and you realize, like, you know, we all bleed the same blood, we all breathe the same air, all that stuff, we're all human. And yeah, like, when you're in those situations, you just figure something out or get swept up by the river, right? You gotta try to figure something out. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just rambling now. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm also really tired. It's the middle of the night, so I'm gonna stop recording. Hopefully I got enough. I think I should be good. There you have it, folks. That is day 7. I'm still stuck on the dude with his freaking date being today. That's nuts. Well, there you have it, folks. That is day 7 of the 25 Days of Creepy in the books. We did it. We've done it. We're doing it some more. If you're enjoying this series, be sure and check out the entire playlist linked in the description below. You can also find the merch store. You can go check that out. Last but not least, if you haven't seen my Out of Place Artifacts video, go check that out. It's good, and it was fun, and you'll enjoy it. It's not very long. Alright, until next time, which is tomorrow, stay creepy.